I want to buy it and I want to make sure that we get the cow milking, and then that's our milk. I'm not going to leave him with my cash cow, right? I'm
Right.
going to make sure that I buy the cow, I take care of the cow. We're going to milk that cow, and we're going to create the return for the investors from what we've done.
Hello, hello. Ginny Bolling here with Pivotal REI, the real estate investment podcast. And today I have with me Beth Bungay. Beth, did I pronounce that right?
Got that right on. My
All right,
roommates
all
in
right.
college would have called me Happy Butt. So, and unfortunately, I was one letter off from being able to relax your muscles. So it's okay.
Well, and I just met you at the Best Ever conference, and we hit it off. You have the company Cash Cow Investments with a very cute story about that, and we have cows I see in the background, which is fun. I have my pickleball court in the background, right?
Yes.
So anyway, I would like you to go ahead and talk a little bit about how you ended up getting into real estate and what you'd like to talk about today.
Awesome. Awesome. So, how far should we go back? Should we go back to when I had my little Barbie set up in business?
Nah, we
When
don't
I,
have to do that unless you think it's
okay, so
pertinent.
we'll fast forward to 1996, actually, when I bought my first home.
Okay.
At the time, I was $26,000 in debt, and the gentleman I was dating, who ended up becoming my husband, who's no longer my husband. So we all have different stories. He's still a great father of our children, though. But I remember him introducing me to real estate, and I didn't really understand real estate, and I was like, "Well, I have all this debt. We can't buy a house." And he's like, "That's exactly why we need to buy one." So fast forward, we buy that first house. I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, depreciation, appreciation, all these amazing things that if you're even in real estate, even on the single family residence side or the multifamily side or commercial real estate for whatever, you understand that there's so many benefits in real estate. And that's truly because I do believe our government wants us to own real property that allows our economy to flourish, right? So bought my first house and literally took a panel of paneling and literally took drywall mud and put it in every little crease and every seam going down that wall. Then took
Ah,
the mud, got it a little gooey, added some water, and then rolled it on there so it looked like a textured drywall. So you guys, here I come. My next door neighbor walks over and goes, "Oh, I lay tile." I'm like, "Great," because I really want to learn how. So he actually taught me how to lay tile, let me borrow all of his tools. So that's really where real estate began for me. And I was so good at it that I had realized that we could fix and flip a house. So that would be how we'd pay for our wedding, is that I would do this fix and flip on a house. And you guys, I was good. I made a grand total of $50. Okay, but I was positive, right? But we were able to take the down payment that was in it, the cost of rehab, and then that big $50 profit, and I rolled it all into our current house in Columbus, Ohio. That allowed us, when we moved out of Columbus, Ohio, and we sold our home, we had a pretty good little nest egg, which allowed us, when we moved to California, to actually purchase our first home, which I found 2 days after moving to California, which was a brand new build that required no work. Okay. We put our 20% down. I will credit my ex-husband. He did say we need to do fixed loans. That was at a time when it was really the beginning of the start of those state whatever you make. And as long as you put 20% down, you can have whatever you want. We did use that actually as an amazing tool. Very quickly amassed about 12 properties. And then we also got caught in what was most of us know as a downturn. So I'm going to tell you, of those 12 properties, I never missed a payment. I never had a tenant end up homeless. The one thing that did happen is we were going to a food bank, okay? And all of our money was in real estate because we were two professionals now by this time. As you fast forward, we had moved to California in 2000. Now we're in 2007, 8, and 9. And we're now also going through, we didn't lose any homes, but I do say we lost our marriage because we were both licensed real estate appraisers. I still am to this day. 26 years later, I have a valid license in the state of California. So I understand the numbers when it comes to real estate. Love the numbers, right? And then I hung on to all those properties. I kept that portfolio. Every single property was in my name. So my ex, when we got separated, didn't want anything upside down, inside out, or didn't cash flow. Was bad timing for that choice. So he had four properties and up about $500,000. And then I took the other eight and went underwater by $1.5 million. I'm going to tell you that was the decision that changed the projection of my life and where I am today. Because had I not done that, I would not be financially as solid as I am today and as stable as I am because I own every single one of those assets and they're located in Southern California. Okay. So I think our how we do business is how we do business here. We'll do it there, right? I have a lot of gumption. I'll, turn a paneled wall into a drywall wall. If that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen. And it's that same passion now that I'm in the multifamily arena that I really bring to the projects that I do. Like, hey, let's figure out a way to do it. Let's actually look at the numbers a sense. Does it make sense? So very excited to be a part of syndications that are located in San Diego, Texas, and also in the state of Nevada. I'm just very, very proud to be on those teams because I do bring that, it's not wrong. We need to figure this out and get it on the right tracks if it falls off. We had first project was a very, very, very heavy lift, distressed asset where the owner was forced out of it by the actual investors. So we purchased it and literally have remodeled it. Occupancy went down to 44%, and we've now been holding steady over 90% for the last 3 months. Okay, so
what are you at now? What'd you say?
over 90%.
Awesome. Terrific.
Yeah. So, and that's even, and I don't know who's on here or listening, but I don't want to talk over people, but that's all vacancy factors. So that's like the people actually living in units, and that's also people paying rent, right? Because you can have a lot of people in your property and say you're 90% occupied, but if 10% of them are not paying the rent, all of a sudden you actually have a 20% economic vacancy factor, okay, or economic occupancy of only 80%. So ours is over 90%, and that is true occupancy, even with our collections, which is almost negligible because you guys, this is relations, and our on-site, she is amazing. Okay. And people make the difference for your tenants, just like we make the difference for our investors. Hopefully we're putting the right people through our property managers in those right properties, taking care of the tenants, because then that allows us to take care of the investors.
Right, for sure. So you've said a lot there that's really good. So do you feel like you have a takeaway ready for the listeners to say what it should be?
I do. I think the biggest takeaway, and this applies not just in real estate or whatever you're doing. It actually applies in life. So I have spent a third of my life reaching down to people where I've been working. I love ChatGPT because he's talking to me. I don't know if your chatbot talks to you, but because I tried to send somebody into voicemail, now he wants to chit chat. Okay, AI is here. If you don't think it is, look at the background. But yeah, so I spent a third of my life, and I still go by this premise of reaching down and helping people come up to where I am. And I believe we should spend a third of our life with our peers. So the people who are where we're at in life right now. So whether you're in the single family arena doing fix and flips, or you're in the multi-millionaire category of doing large commercial and apartment buildings, you want to be with your peers, right? That's how we connected at Best Ever Conference, because I was at a space with peers. And then you want to spend your third of your life reaching up to people who are above you or ahead of you, or have already done that path, because that's the balance, right? We were even talking about, before we got on, the five Hershey Kisses, right? There's so much abundance in this world. There's enough for everybody. You don't have to take the last five Hershey Kisses, because believe it or not, as I say, the person who might have gotten two of those might have came with a big old bag of bubble gum. So that's why I do believe in not only helping, but communicating and working with peers, but then also realizing that there's so much more to be learned by also going up to people that are higher than you. So I love to connect. I'm assuming people will be able to see this if they're on a YouTube, so they can see the QR code. You can scan
Yes,
that and connect that
yes.
way. I have a website. You can also reach out through that for those of you who might be listening audio wise, and that's www.cashcow, INV for investments, but just INV, so you don't have to spell it all the way. .com. So, and you can connect through there. I've got calendar links and all my phone information as well, because I really do believe in being there and coaching and mentoring and supporting community. I've had a lot of people that have helped me, so I like to give back.
So yeah, you went fast forward to the contacting part. We didn't really establish, I don't think, well enough yet exactly what it is that you can do to help people, and that's being what we call a key principle, right?
Yeah.
So you're offering to be a contact, to be a an advisor essentially too for people that are needing to get help as they try to get into these commercial properties. And is that multifamily or other things, or multifamily only?
So I do multifamily and I do cash flowing assets because we are cash cow, your concierge in real estate, turning your money into moolah. Okay, so it really is cash. It's all based on cash flow and truly the return for the investor. So we'll look at different projects. We right now working with our investor base have predominantly done multifamily. We are having in the pipeline a pickleball palace that we're working on in the Florida market. So that one's been in the works for about 6 months because you got to find the right place, you got to negotiate leases, and then you got to do your build out. So it's a little bit slow off the tarmac, but again, if the numbers make sense and the moolah for the investors makes sense, that's what we do. So I'm what's called a key principal. Some people may call it a sponsor, but ultimately, when you're dealing with these large projects, the banks are going to want in commercial real estate, they're going to want to know that the net worth of the person signing on the loan is at or above the purchase price. Okay. So that's where Mark and myself will work with people or teams and sign on the loans with them and really, really stay with them as a coach, as a mentor, as a sponsor throughout the project. Okay. The banks also require prior experience, at least 2 years of experience in multifamily or real estate or whatever venue you're going into. And again, that's something that Mark and myself have that we bring as a team to people that we're working with. And then the third one is that they need a liquidity from the general partners. So they're looking for the purchase price for you to have at least 1%, or excuse me, 10% in liquidity based on the purchase price. So myself and Mark will team up together and we can sponsor a project up to 40 million. Okay, now that doesn't mean that like your first project you should bring to us is 40 million, because let's face it, you guys, we all want to know each other a little bit. We want to do coffee. We do want to make sure it's a great relationship. But what I am telling you is that within community, we can actually size up for people who are looking to build a portfolio and need that structural support to get just kind of started as they're, creating their own net worth, their own portfolio for themselves. One of the things that makes me very special as a key principal sponsored loan guarantor, those are all kind of interchangeable depending upon what community school you come from. But one of the things that does make me unique is I actually do raise capital. And not all people who will sign on a loan will raise capital for projects. And I do, because I believe you shouldn't sign on the loan unless you're willing to put your brother's money in it. So I do, and my brother does invest in all my projects because I call him and go, hey, how much are you putting in? Yeah, you don't have a choice. Like, there's some people in my life that don't have a choice. He's in the don't have a choice to invest with his sister category.
I love
Um,
it.
I'm not that short with any other investor, just him. I think our San Diego one, he never even came to the presentation. And I was like, Dude, you're about ready to get not be able to even invest because I'm about ready to oversubscribe this. So I joked with the team, they were new, so they were working very diligently for a few weeks while I was traveling, and I just did the main presentation. And it was super cute because they were working very diligently getting people in front of it. But you guys, this is like anything. It takes time to be known in community. It takes time to build your credibility. So for a lot of them, they're sharing this for the first time. So not that they didn't do a fabulous job. They're doing an amazing job. The Sunny team is kicking butt on our San Diego project. But it's going to be harder for them to raise money than someone like me who I've raised money before. I had my own hedge fund, so I know numbers. I've worked with investors before. So I already have a little bit more of an established rapport in community. So it's a little easier for me to get investors. So I joked around with them that 3 weeks after we started the raise, I'd gotten back from Fiji, and I gave them another week because it was my birthday. So I just invited people who called on my birthday, and I said, "Hey, just can you come to the presentation?" And had about 40, 50 people there. Also shared the Zoom the next Saturday, had quite a few people there. And then I was like, okay, it's time for me to get to work. So I told them, I said, okay, I'm going to start working on capital raising. And I will go old school, you guys. Don't be afraid of doing in the business the way it should be done, which is talking to people. So literally in under a week, we're fully subscribed.
Awesome. Wow.
So
How much were you raising?
we raised $2.9 million.
Yeah, good for you.
So we
Yeah.
were fully subscribed by the day we actually closed on the asset, which was 70 days from contract to close, which is also sort of unusual. Usually somebody's got a squeezed in extension in there, and we had zero. And we had $200,000 on a $6.25 million project that was non-refundable with no extensions. How sure do you think I was on that project?
Pretty sure. Yeah. I think so.
Exactly. That's a lot of moolah. To put that in perspective, for those of you who maybe you're learning about the industry, traditionally you're going to have about a 1% ED money in most projects. And then
Escrow
you'll put,
deposit. Yep.
yeah, escrow deposits. Thank you. Thank you. I hate when people use those acronyms, and I just did. So spank, spank, spank. Thank you. So, so a $6.25 million project would typically be about a $60,000 deposit. And our first deposit was $100,000, and then it required another $100,000 at the time of financing contingency, which means that the loan's going to go through, was approved, or at the 45-day mark. So it was either or. So we were, again, we know we can qualify. We know the strength of our ability to qualify for the loans. So we felt very comfortable and confident coming in with that money. We had vetted the asset. We had already done what's called physical due diligence and all the paperwork due diligence on the asset. So we felt really good about this asset going in with a nice little equity cushion day one in an amazing market, right? And that's really being a part of a team, being in the car where somebody's driven before is really, really important in this industry. And knowing their scope. Like because of my real estate appraiser background, I've inspected 14,000 properties.
Can't believe you
Okay,
know the
so
number there.
yeah, so like inspecting a property is no big deal to me, where people are bringing in inspectors. I'm actually going to do on the interiors, I'm going to do that. Now, am I going to bring in professional plumbers, electricians, have line scope by a plumber, have a roofer hop on top of the roof? Absolutely. Because that's stuff that I'm not licensed for. I don't know. But can I go in there and tell you, like, if the fixtures are working, if the stuff in the kitchen is working, test GFCIs, know the codes for the health and safety issues? Absolutely, because that's my background. And would I say somebody's never done it before, make that your specialty? No, but you guys, that's what's cool about this is we're usually working in teams where we're all bringing in great qualities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I remember you saying that, yeah, you've done a lot of inspections and pride yourself on the due diligence side of it, which is fantastic. And 14,000 is a lot of properties for sure. Well,
it
so
is.
that I think that helps to explain what you would do and how KPs work. What exactly do you expect from the team member that's asking and needing your assistance?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's going to be a case by case basis, right? Because let's say you've never dealt with real estate and somehow you went from zero on the real estate knowledge to thrown into wanting to buy a giant multifamily. You're going to need a lot more of us than somebody who's like, oh, I used to buy like 4 units, which fall under the single family umbrella or non-commercial, and I've dealt with tenants and I understand some working knowledge, or someone who's had a construction background if we're doing some kind of heavy lift or just value add in general. So it really is going to depend, like, hey, what are your strengths? Where do you fall? And again, we're looking to sponsor people for their first project between about that 6 million and $17 million sweet spot. But knowing if, hey, we all like each other and it's a really good relationship and good connection, we can now go up to a $40 million project.
And
You
now
know,
you're talking about the money that you would have in, or that's the value of the total project?
the value of the total project, because that's what the banks are looking at. They're looking at how much is your net worth so that you can sign on a loan this big.
And you want to be in the first position, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Right. And the only money in it, right? Or do you do mezzanine? Do you allow mezzanine or ever deal with that?
So I think that unless somebody knows what that is, we might have just gone over everybody's heads.
Oops.
But yeah, mezzanine debt might be where we're asking like the owner or something to keep a chunk of money in there. Or, I mean, there's like lots of different structures you can do with this. Typically, we're going to be the primary decision makers. A lot of times, mezzanine debt, they'll come in and they'll take away your rights if you don't keep up occupancy. So you can structure stuff. They'll structure stuff where it's very favorable for them if you're not performing. And you know what, you guys? If that's what you have to do to get a deal done, you should. But because we're running in the first line and it really is our money that we'll bring into projects too on the limited investor side, we don't mind sitting in first position and being able to make sure that we're supporting our teams, being very transparent with everything we're doing. So our team has an email that they get copied on. So like when I'm doing stuff with the lender, I'll actually copy them on it just so they can learn the process. It gives them a chance to see it. There's like when we think of buying a house, we think of right getting approved for a loan and then we buy a house. And then we might go in and fix it up. Okay. When you're doing a syndication of a large apartment building, there is a billion moving parts. And nobody knows how many moving parts there are until you go, oh, whoa, we have to get together 3 LLCs. Meanwhile, we have to set up all the syndication documentation so we can be ready to onboard investors, right? And then onboard their capital and do it appropriately and legally. Okay, so we're doing that at the same time that we're going through all the paperwork and the due diligence and getting making sure that the asset really truly fits the buy box and fits the amount that we put that offer out at, and that there aren't any hidden gotchas, right? Because we need to renegotiate those if they are. And then we also need to set up our third party property managers so that they're ready to run, because the day you take ownership, you need to have electric in your name. You need to have gas in your LLC's name. Your tenants don't need to have their lights go off because you just bought the property. So, and then the washer and dryers, you need to make sure that that contract gets changed to you, the new owner. So there's a lot of moving parts, and that's what the benefit of working in a team is that many hands make light work. But again, for us, it's making sure the team sees all of it or they're running on a part of it. When we're going to close, we have a giant spreadsheet and we'll put 2 people on each project. And then I will go over it. Obviously, they can't qualify for the loan. I've got to do all my loan stuff. Mark has to do all the loan stuff under our name. But on the main sheet, we'll look on that main sheet. They also have an ability to read it, right? So if they're stuck, they just turn it red, and that means that they really need us to give them a little bit more guidance, right? And so imagine working on a team where you're working on something, you've got a teammate, you're working on it, you know what your end goal is, and you know you got somebody who'll help and coach you and support you if need be. Okay. And that's really how the premise that we take them on. Not everybody wants to do it that way, but I do believe transparency is really a strength that this industry can bring back to our investor basis because so many things did go a little bit wrong. And some of it is operational, but some of it was just stuff was bought wrong.
You
And
mean over the last couple of years?
yeah, stuff was
Yeah.
bought high. I mean, from being a real estate appraiser, I could see like I'm like, wow, the mud balls are going at the wall way too fast, right?
Yep.
Not quite the right time unless it's the really right deal. And a lot of people just jumped in and were willing to pay what's called pro forma pricing. So that's it's gonna be this. I used to call my sweetheart, I used to call him my pro forma husband. Or my unicorn, one or the other, right? He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, I don't really like that. And I was like, well, what do you want me to call you? He's like, well, your boyfriend. I'm like, that's kind of boring. So, my lover. But no, just being funny with that. But that's the expectations of what we think are going to happen. Now, for me, I thought it into existence because this is my girlfriend ring I got for Valentine's Day. So he did
Yeah.
really good. But we really want to underwrite to the true numbers. We want to underwrite to their performance, not what we think we can do.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's the spread between purchasing it at what they've done and then us creating a business plan of our performance. It's that spread that we should be the ones who benefit from because that's the spread we pass down to our investors.
And that's the work that is done.
Right. And so
Yeah.
many times I have people bring me projects and they're underwriting to the expectations of what's going to be done and they're wanting to push out a price to a seller who couldn't keep occupancy there. Well, why would you want to buy it at something they couldn't do? Okay. I want to buy it and I want to make sure that we get the cow milking and then that's our milk. I'm not going to leave him with my cash cow, right? I'm going to make sure that I buy the cow, I take care of the cow. We're going to milk that cow and we're going to create the return for the investors from what we've done.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, and I want you to say what your takeaway is one more time, and then we're going to wrap it up and I've got to ask you about that pivotal question. But
Okay.
what's your takeaway again? Say that one more time here.
Okay. Awesome. So, my takeaway again, you guys, is that you should spend a third of your life reaching down and helping others come up. So no matter where you're at in your life, spend time helping others. It could be as simple as buying coffee for the person behind you at the McDonald's thing, right? Or it could be as much as helping your children sitting on the floor, helping them because they don't understand the math numbers. You know, like bringing in a trash can for somebody who's elderly who doesn't have the capacity. So whatever helping looks like for you, bringing people up the stairs, whether it's education or financial assistance, whatever it might be, right? As moms, we've spent our lives doing that with our children. It's just a natural reaction. And then you need to spend a third of your life with your peers. So these are the people. That's why we go to things like Best Ever Conference, Ultimate Partnering, Peak. This is why we go to different conferences, is because we are there to connect with our peers. We're there to ask questions. We're there to bring up our own skill set and talk and really be in a platform of people who are also working at the level that we're working at. Okay. And then you need to spend a third of your life reaching up to the people who you're like, wow, you're much bigger than me. And I'm looking for some guidance. And do you mind just answering a few questions? And I'm going to tell you, it's harder to find those third the further you go up the ladder. But I'm going to tell you, it's even more important as you go up the ladder to identify those who are ahead of you and reach out to them.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Makes sense. Makes
it's,
sense.
yeah,
All right.
it's all a synergy and a balance.
And as I ask everybody towards the end, is there a pivotal person or event that brought you to where you are today or that's pushing you towards some certain goal?
Okay. So, I honestly selfishly started finding out about multifamily because of my portfolio, knowing I needed to 1031. And but I am going to say that this pivotal person or event for me was I had joined what was called the Insiders Club, which is part of an RE mentor community. And I had literally sat in front of the room, made this commitment that no matter what, I was going to do this for 5 years. And after 5 years, if I can't figure this out, then I'll quit, but not until after 5 years. So we all got involved in like accountability groups. And I'm going to say the person that was most pivotal for me was Cindy Gap McGuire, Show Me the Money, Cindy McGuire. And the reason she was most pivotal is because I remember sitting in that accountability group and she had so much going on. She's like here, she's rocking a project over here, and she's just doing it. She's literally doing it. And I remember being like, wow. She's like, I was on a podcast. On there one right now. Oh, I got this project. I had got my projects. All these things when I was on the bottom stair looking up, right? And so yeah, Show Me the Money, Cindy McGuire definitely has been one of those people in my lives. And to this day, we are great friends. And just feel very blessed that she's in my life.
So just to explain what we do with this is we want to honor people like that. So either you will let her know you nominated her, or we can call her. We'll work that out and say you nominated her. And if she comes on the show, she gets promoted as a pivotal person. She's forever on our newsletter and promoted, and gets a lapel pin that says she's a pivotal person. So we try to celebrate those people and make sure that others get the chance to find out who pivotal people are out there. So yeah, very, very good. I appreciate that. And I know that you need to run too, but I want you to go ahead and repeat again how people can get in touch with you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Jenny, for the opportunity. It's been fabulous being here with you today. So my QR code, if you're looking at a screen, you can scan that. I was always told people can't scan when they're on their phones. So the best way is just to pop into my website at www.cashcowinv.com. On there, you'll see about midway down the website, you'll see Connect with Us. And then you can actually scan the QR code or just book an appointment on my calendar. Would love to connect with you. Grab a 20-minute Zoom. I think some of the best relationships, because our world has changed, has now been built electronically. So I've got a calendar link on there where you can grab a Zoom, and absolutely look forward to connecting with each one of you. And again, here to help. For me, I don't have to do this. I actually get the privilege of now doing this in my life. And so for me, my big motivation is to help others. My goal is to get 100 investors to millionaire status. And then my other goal is to get 10 people to the level of general partner where they're running projects and key principal, because we're able to help them kind of get their launching pad and get going. So hopefully I can make an impact in a lot more people's lives.
That's terrific. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.